Welcome, everybody, to Wall Street Reporter's Next Super Stock, a live stream March 23rd, 2022. This is where we bring you those stocks which have that 10x to 100x upside potential. Companies going after massive multi-billion-dollar market opportunities that are at a key inflection point right now in their growth cycle. And there are multiple catalysts in place right now which could ignite a substantial increase in shareholder value. And we've had multiple 10 bagger, 20 bagger, 50 bagger stocks in the last few years following this format. And we're going to find out if XTM is going to be the next to join this pantheon of 10x to 100x winning stocks. So with that said, Marilyn, welcome back to the program.
Thanks, Jack. Good to be back.
Absolutely. So, Marilyn, it's been a little while since we've last had you on, and I think anybody who's been watching, who's been following the news, has noticed that XTM has been making significant inroads into the U.S. So the U.S. market expansion is really kind of underway. I think this is the key theme here.
You're right. It is. It is the key theme. And I think, Jack, if I could set this conversation off with the good news is that, we're focused on fundamentals. We're moving along really nicely. We're ahead of plan. The bad news is, in a publicly traded market, the market is soft. And, micro caps are getting punished for sure in the marketplace. And then flipping around again to the good news, but this creates opportunity for investors. So we really are excited about our future. And I know every entrepreneur and founder says that. I feel it's especially relevant right now. We're dealing in real tangibles. We have a real company. We're signing clients, real contracts, and our foray into the U.S. market is going beautifully. We're very positive about what we're doing and that there's a need for what it is that we're offering.
Yeah, I was just with previous guest, we were just talking about this. Is that a lot of people are looking at a stock and they say, oh, the stock it's down or it's not going anywhere, and they have to keep this in. It's in the context of the broader theme of what's happening in the market on NASDAQ. You're in the fintech space, and most of the fintech stocks are off 80%. I mean, whether it's I don't know, SoFi. I mean, you go through the whole list. What is it? Upstart. I mean, I could go. It's ARK Innovation Fund. Actually, XTM, coincidentally, has actually held up quite well, in this market. I mean, the stock is, let's just say it's actually outperformed. It's outperformed the fintech index, like literally. I think if anybody did a matchup, but not that we want to compare you to like other stocks, but because XTM on its own, we're looking at as a 10x upside. So with that said, I want to kind of dive into the recent news. Then I want to kind of maybe also explain to people what the company is about in case we have new people. But for people watching right now, let's talk about the news just was it the other day with point of sale integration. So you just announced that you're integrating into 20 POS systems in the U.S. market. Can you explain the significance of this, like how that's going to impact growth?
Sure. So a point of sale system is integral to any business, especially the restaurant and salon, any merchant. But the point of sales that we have now accelerated our integration to are restaurant and services focused. Now, there's a lot of heavy lifting on the engineering side to get integrated with each point of sale. Through our partnerships, we've been able to integrate once with 20-fold penetration. So what that means, if I can bring it down to layman's terms, is you're in a restaurant, you leave me a gratuity, for example, of $20. And you do that through your point of sale. You put your credit card into the point of sale. You leave me the $20. It's the end of the shift. Now, that point of sale is also integrated with time and attendance and all the other technology platforms that a restaurant is using to run their operations. Now, typically it would be super complicated and the operator would have to extract data, determine, who gets what and how many hours, what my earnings are. We're now integrated with these point of sales to enable that operator to pay me out, not only my gratuity, but also my wage and expenses if they're relevant in the same day I work there. So it's a huge acceleration. It's a huge pain point for service employees, to incentivize them to come back to work, to return to the workforce. And now through this integration, we've automated a big, huge swath of the process. So it's a significant announcement.
Okay, so in other words, before this integration, if somebody wanted to use the Today program, your system, what would that mean? They would have to do it manually? So in other words, does this essentially is this going to accelerate sales? Like how is this going to have an impact? Like immediately? Like what are we going to see?
Yeah, for sure it will. So there's two ways of integrating with our system. We have some businesses who choose to upload a CSV file at the end of a shift and automatically pay their staff that way. And then others where we're integrated at the point of sale. The point of sale is way less friction. So
it's automatic. It's automatic, basically.
Right. And
nobody has to do anything.
If you think, for example, a company like Lightspeed, who is a Canadian company, but well known across the America and Canada as a point of sale for restaurants. They have over 114,000 restaurants on their platform. So that gives us access to accelerate and to scale at huge levels to have access to all of those restaurants.
So essentially this announcement, I think the significance of this is it takes away the friction. It makes it easy for customers to use your system. It makes it like, I call it like, it's like idiot proof. Why would they not want to do this? This is like, there's no effort. The hardest thing in the world is to sell something to somebody, like where they have to learn about it. There's effort now it's like easy. It's like, it's almost like, so let's actually take a moment to explain exactly what you're doing. What is XTM? What is the Today program? Like what for anybody that's brand new, and then we'll talk again about the significance of this.
Well, sir, I'll talk about our go-to-market product, which is now exponentially changed and grown. But what we came to market with was a solution, and is a solution to pay out gratuities in the form of a digital payment. So it's an app and a mobile wallet and a prepaid debit card. So in Canada, it's a MasterCard. In the United States, it's a Visa. So that's what we went to market with, always with the full intention of further monetizing that and creating a much bigger ecosystem than just gratuities. So, and that's what we're doing. And the announcement about the point of sale that we put out in a press release this week is an example of the acceleration that you're going to see from XTM over the next coming weeks. I'm not even going to say months, because I'm going to say weeks. We're not going to grow this in a methodical, step-by-step way. We're going to grow this in an exponential way. That's our style. That's what we did in Canada, and what we're going to do in North America. So you're going to see more automation, more partnerships, more relationships that help catapult us into new markets.
Okay. One thing we should add is, we talk about the issues of paying out those tips, but especially like in the US, like a lot of restaurants and hospitality, they have something, they have this pooled tips, right? Where a lot of people get tips, not just the waiter, but it could be the manager, this guy, that, it's all percentage wise. Your system essentially does that all automatically. They're all able to get the money the same day. Bottom line, again, if anybody, what this does is, it's a competitive advantage for restaurants, especially in today's hiring market, where people, essentially you can tell potential employees, hey, come to work for us, you're going to get paid the same day, your tips, everything immediately. And one thing you mentioned, I think very important last time, is this helps retain employees, but even if they go somewhere else, I think they're going to be hooked kind of on the system. They end up serving as kind of your ambassador. So this really can help this thing go viral. And now you mentioned Lightspeed has 128,000.
Last time I looked, 114,000 restaurants. I'm sure it's bigger than that now.
Okay. So let's call it 114,000 restaurants in the US. Let's say, how many in Canada? What percentage of the market do you have right now for this?
Well, it depends how you define the market. So we've typically gone after restaurant groups. And the reason we've done that is to exploit our resources, basically, is that it takes as much time almost to sign on an individual independent restaurant as it does a group that has 10,000 users, for example. So we have the lion's share of that market in Canada. And through partnerships, we're going to be able to double our size in if you take Canada and then look at the US, we're going to be able to double that very, very quickly. Again, through partnerships, through relationships. So, and you talked a little bit, Jack, about tip pooling. That's a real pain point for restaurant operators in that math can become not only complicated, but also litigious from the perspective that if you're not paying your employees properly, you're open to lawsuits. And there has been precedent set for that in a number of restaurants across the United States where employees have won lawsuits against restaurants for multiple millions of dollars because the improper math was applied to the way the tips are allocated. So what we've done is we saw, okay, there's another pain point, let's build it. So we built it and we're doing that math based on the way you run your restaurant. So you receive our software, you subscribe to our software, very low monthly basis, but you subscribe to it and you were able to put your rules and your regulations into our software to be able to mirror the way you're running your business.
Okay. Meryl, I think, this is such a huge thing because, again, in the US, it's a very litigious society. I know exactly what this thing about tipping. There was a bunch of big lawsuits. I forgot which was the restaurant chain, but it was exactly regarding this. So what you're doing essentially is for very little money, essentially it's like an insurance policy that you're basically taking away that potential liability, which could be massive because, you have, because not only do you have the employees, then all of a sudden you got the the state payroll tax, all this stuff that it all gets in, it becomes a nightmare. So, I think now you're dealing with primarily your customers are mostly, more corporate type chains right now, but at some point you're going to really expand to, all restaurants. I mean, really the mass, a lot of those places, right? And,
And I was just going to say, Jack, I'm so excited to, as I was doing some reconnaissance, we've been doing a lot of finance meetings, meeting with a lot of investment banks. And as I was doing a reconnaissance, I asked for the list, of what we get in through our website. And I was astounded at the number of inbound queries that we're getting from restaurants from every demographic. Obviously, we're filling a need at the proper time. So you're right. The small, the large, they're coming in and very little sales effort. They're coming in because they hear about us. They have a pain point. We're free to the restaurant. So why wouldn't you choose this?
Yeah. I mean, it's all the benefits are there. But even more important, I think, than the benefits is this, you're taking away that liability of, not only the litigation potential with this stuff, which is, again, it's pretty crazy in the US. But again, it creates a lot of friction with employees. Well, how do they know that they got X percentage and was it calculated properly? Because, this system is essentially creates transparency and audit trail, what have you. But it really makes it professionalizes the whole system. And I think once you expand to, the mass market, all the smaller restaurants and everything else, they're really going to have to use your system. Okay, I think I should also emphasize in the US, the market that you're going after, restaurants, clubs, hospitality, service. So it's not it's haircuts, right? Haircuts, I don't know, nail service, whatever it is, whatever it is, right? Any place where there's service, where there are tips involved, which in the US is huge. $1 trillion market, a trillion with a T, it's $1 trillion market in the US, all that combined. And you're providing an important service for these people, which is very sticky. So this becomes something which becomes ingrained in their system. You have this recurring revenues, all that good stuff coming in. So it's pretty exciting. I just want okay. So we had a comment here. Andre Philippe, I think he's been on before. So you're expecting 30 million revenues this year, Marilyn?
Yes.
So right now the market cap is 70 million, roughly, right? So the stock is trading at 2x revenues. This is a fintech company, 2x revenues. The comps in the space typically are like 10x plus, 10x plus, which is so just for the stock, I think to catch up to fair value would have to be 5x from here. So I don't know, almost $2 per share. I mean, so there's like a built-in path. Let's call it, I'll be conservative. Let's just say $1.50 a share. I mean, just to catch up to the valuation, it doesn't count. That doesn't even consider any growth. Looking at this, your whiteboard behind you, I'm trying to see if there's any information we can get, any kind of insider information there, potential growth. But there's a lot of. It looks like you got stuff going on there. So I think there's a lot of things that the market's not even aware of. I mean, like this news, I don't think anybody was expecting all this type of news flow you have right now.
We're a very busy company. We're growing exponentially. We're trying to be super smart with our resources. Our CFO, if he was here, he would be muzzling me because I don't want to provide guidance, and I do have a tendency to do that. I want to say that our projections, our performers are based on a number of things that aren't yet disclosed. So I have to be careful about that. But what I will say is that we are. You would need to have some faith in what it is that we're doing. I think we've proved ourselves that we can execute. We're really good executors. We've proved that with the market we have, and our partnerships are strong. Our executive team is strong. We're hiring from within the services and hospitality space because it is a dynamic that is very unique and bespoke. And I think that's one of our advantages in the marketplace, is that we are very, very focused on the exact pain points of a restaurant or a salon or a hotel or a golf club, anything that provides service. How can we make them better? And what we've noticed too is there's a number of best-in-class solutions out there. We're trying to create a single stop, one place to get your whole ecosystem of support to run these businesses effectively and efficiently.
Yeah. And again, so the big theme, I think, which is important, I think the reason why the stock is kind of trading where it is right now is that, a lot of investors, like right now, most of your audience up till now, I mean, has been in Canada up till recently. Like right now, we're starting to see a big pickup in US trading in the OTC shares. So I think people were thinking before, okay, this is a Canadian company focused on a very small market in the hospitality in Canada. There's only 20 million people there. Now, the big story is you're going into the US market, which is, 15 times bigger, 15 times, it's $1 trillion market, which is, I think, one of the reasons all of a sudden we're starting to see a pickup in US trading of, XTMIF, right? And I think what we're going to see is that's going to flip in the next couple of months, where almost all the volume is going to be it's going to be like 10 times the volume of Canada. And then the valuation is going to catch up, because now investors will understand that you're not just a little Canadian company in a small market. You're really going after, a massive $1 trillion opportunity. And that's, when we're going to have a revaluation event. I just want to add, before we get into questions, we got a bunch of good questions. So you added, again, the company, as you said, there's constant, not only just the exponential growth, but there's also constant, incremental improvements on your existing systems. Like I think a few weeks ago, you added, the Apple and Google Pay to the Today thing, the card. So it's there. The improvement is constant. So it's like every day that goes by, it seems like the company is the franchise gets more and more, stronger, whatever the word is.
our engineering team is organized that way. So we've got Chad Arthur, who is our Chief Technology Officer. He's got a group that is focused on innovation, research and development, and a group that is focused on our current system and making sure it's flawless, that the user experience is excellent. We've got a product team run by Kia Nunes, who focuses on the user experience and making sure that any improvements, as we look at our cycle of feedback from our users, that we constantly improve. So we've got a number of innovations on our roadmap that we intend, including we've recently launched cashback rewards. So you can actually earn money as a user, as an end user. So that makes it even more attractive and stickier. And some of our members are, generating, in the neighborhood of $100. It's just launched, so I can't say hundreds of dollars, but the potential is there to earn money every month, and that's a big thing for these.
Yeah, I think, and it's important to understand. So the end users, right? People who work in the restaurant and hospitality industry, right? A lot of younger people. There's inflation right now. Gas prices are skyrocketing, right? Yeah. So it costs them, like all of a sudden, it costs somebody, real money to get to work. A lot of people, let's say, somebody's in LA, it might be costing them $50 a day in gas, literally to get to their job, right? Just a couple, 20-minute trip might cost them $50, right? So people, the end customers that you have, there's more and more incentive for people to use this on the pull and the push side of the market. And again, as you add more and more innovation, the stickiness grows, the franchise power increases, and the valuation increases. So at some point, the market wakes up, and it could be in a few months, as the market stabilizes, hopefully, the world peace breaks out, whatever. But then that's where we could see, all of a sudden, market wakes up, the stock could be 10x higher. So let's get to some audience questions here. Okay, Andre Philip, he's got like a bunch of questions. Could you give us an outlook on cash and cash equivalents at end of March, ballpark?
I don't think I can do that. Our CFO, if you send me a DM, Andre Philip, I will be able to answer that. I just have to be careful of what I disclose, what I don't disclose in this forum. Sorry about that, but I'm happy to see what I can answer on that.
Next question is great to hear about restaurants. Could you provide an outlook on strategic initiatives in entertainment, sports venue, golf, hospitality? So, I mean, there's other beyond. There's other so let's talk about this. Like golf, let's say what is a golf pro?
Yeah, that one I can answer.
Pro, whatever, I don't know. Fitness, the trainers, right? The trainers and gyms. That's a huge market.
For sure. There's and there's also even in the construction space, there's a lot of laborers that are being paid in an incremental way. We've had that opportunity as well. But focus on hospitality, I will tell you that we have organized ourselves around Canada, US, and then around the verticals within those countries. So we have we're happy that we are signing hotels, we're signing golf courses. I think you as shareholders, you really are interested in the US. So we haven't even told you about what we've been signing in Canada. The growth has been exponential in those categories.
By the way, one thing is, we talk about the inflation thing, but look, it really is, because there is significant inflation, and with the labor market tightness, everything else, the whole tipping thing is really becoming bigger and bigger. For example, there's it used to be when you went to a takeout restaurant, right? Like before, there wasn't even like a Starbucks or whatever. Like there was never really tipping, right? Now, then they start putting out a little jar, people put whatever, which is, I don't know, I'm paying okay. Now I go to a takeout place. It's a kind of takeout place, and yeah, I'm not using cash. I'm really using cash. I'm using a card, right? Credit card, debit card. And when I put it in, all of a sudden it says automatically, basically, it kind of, the default is you have to give a tip. I mean, the default, it makes it like you really have to go through a couple of extra steps not to tip. So all of a sudden, now I have to give and these tips are now no longer, I think it's no longer even 15%. They now they put in 25, 26% as a starting point. I've seen, so like the tipping thing is becoming bigger and bigger, which is, so there's a lot of tailwinds that are going to be pushing XTM in the months, the years ahead. I mean, it's the company's really at the right time, the right place at the right time. And at some point, again, if the market's going to wake up to this. Let me see. There's a question here. Dina was asking. I think in the U.S. There's I think who said that tips should be included in the price of whatever you're buying, because that's never, no, tips are always going to be on top. The U.S. It's never going to be included.
They've done all kinds of trials with that, and they've tried it. But the reality is that as a diner, as someone at a restaurant, you want to reward for good service, and you also want the power to be able to hold back if you're not getting good service. So though, and then as a worker in the service industry, you also, you're not going to be incentivized to work if you're getting a flat fee. What the incentive is that you're going to give extra service, you're going to be, excellent, and you're going to get rewarded for that. So they've tried it both ways. We're not very worried about that at all as a trend.
By the way, one thing I want to add, you were talking about the one of the things that's really, I think, is going to push, adoption, massive increase in adoption of, this, when you get this thing on the POS and the tip, the pooling. What do you call it? Pool sharing? I think pool. What's the technical
word? Pooling. Yeah, it's called tip pooling. It's basically
pooling.
Application. Yeah.
Yeah. So the tip pooling, the big thing I think is going to be, because you're essentially an insurance policy. You're taking away this potential, litigation, which could be more than what they're making. Because I just realized I have seen billboards in I forgot where I saw it, but billboards regarding this, like, something like from a lawyer. Hey, have you been like screwed from tips, or something about the tipping thing? I remember seeing that specifically. So there's a lot of very hungry lawyers out there in the U.S. in like in service in Las Vegas, service heavy places in New York. I've seen billboards, right? And so they're trolling for clients. I mean, I think any restaurant that's in their, anybody doing any business at all that doesn't want any headaches should be using your system. I mean, it's like,
what we've done, we've brought a level of sophistication to the operations of a business, of a restaurant, that they haven't formally have. And when you think about it, one of our partners, I think their motto is, focus on the food, not the finance. So when you think about it, a restaurant, they're artists. They're coming in, they're delighting you with this fabulous experience and great food. But typically, more than 70% of restaurants fail shortly after launch because of these very reasons, because they haven't had the proper systems in place, maybe not even the proper people in place to be able to run it. We're solving that for them. Our goal is to make those restaurants so successful that they don't have to think about the back office. And we want to do it for very little money. So to impel them and propel them and support them in doing really well.
Yeah, no, it's a key thing, because again, this is the last thing that any restaurant wants to do, especially not these big chains. You're dealing right now with big corporate chains, but smaller mom and pops, they don't want to deal with this stuff. So this really is a major help. Marilyn, let's wrap up. So the big thing I think for investors to watch, in my opinion, you tell me if I'm wrong, but in my opinion, the big thing that's going to move the stock in the next probably weeks, months ahead is going to be U.S. market expansion. That's the theme that everybody's going to be looking at. So what's planned? What kind of news flow can we expect in the coming weeks regarding this U.S. market expansion?
So there's this expression, good things come to those who wait. And many of you who have been in the stock for a long time, you've been patient, and I recognize some of your names here because I've had emails from you over the past, our anniversary. This is our anniversary month, March. We went public March 2020. So here we are, March 2022. I think what you're gonna want to watch is our M&A activity. You're going to want to watch our partner activity, and you're going to want to watch our rollout and our successes in the U.S. In very aggressive, very ambitious over the next, well, the period it will be, but I think of most impact is over the next couple of months.
Marilyn, you mentioned M&A. What do you have? You have something planned in terms of acquisitions?
So, we're always looking at potential partners. Anyone, what makes sense to us is, I call it, peanut butter and jam, where there's no redundancy and there's no overlap. That's really of interest to us. And we have a number of opportunities that we're ambitiously chasing.
Okay. So there's a pipeline of potential acquisitions.
Yes.
Do you expect anything to close, let's call next, I don't know, 90 days? Any possibility of 90 days?
You're trying to get me arrested here. I will say that, we are certainly hopeful. It's business as usual for us right now. There's a team of us that are just not distracted, but focused on M&A, and the rest of the company is focused absolutely on our day-to-day. We hope to have a number of announcements through 2022 that will put us on an absolutely new level as a company.
So you're saying you have people in the company focused full-time on M&A?
Well, the executive team, yeah, our CFO, myself, our head of U.S. business.
Okay. So it's a priority. You're saying it's like
it is a priority.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So it's not like something. It's front. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. So on that note, Marilyn, I want to thank you, and we look forward to getting more updates in the coming weeks. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn.